Hi, I'm Ingrid Maynard and you're listening to The Sales Revolution. So what exactly is the sales revolution? Well, let me tell you about why it's necessary right now. We have a conflation of a number of different aspects that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And it's a point in history that I think that we'll remember for quite some time. The first thing that we are all experiencing, whether we're on the demand or the supply side, is the talent shortage. And I went to a breakfast last year in Adelaide where an economist told the audience that that talent shortage isn't going anywhere for the next 10 years. Don't know if that's the answer that everyone in the audience wanted to hear or the comment that everybody wanted to hear, because it's been tough. It's really hard to do business when you can't find the right people, let alone just anyone, but especially the right people. So sales talent is a subset of that, and it's even rarer for a whole host of reasons, which this podcast is all about exploring. And sales talent is in short supply. The great ones have already got really well-paid, fantastic jobs that they love. So they're all taken care of, and it's really hard to move them unless you've got an outstanding offer that's not just about the money, but it's also about the opportunity. And then we've got people who are willing to do sales and who are motivated but haven't been invested in. And they're the people that we need to really develop and nurture so that they grow into what's required. We also have the toughest economic conditions, according to Deloitte from last year, about September last year. Deloitte came out and said we've got the toughest economic conditions in Australia that we've had since the early 1990s. And for those of you who either did economics at school and aren't necessarily young enough to remember, or for those of us young enough to remember the recession that we had to have, it kind of feels a bit familiar. And whether we use the word recession or not, we certainly know that it's tough. We know that, the cost of living is up, and that's a factor for people when they're choosing roles. So, making sure that they can pay to live is really important. But it's also a factor for business, because business costs have gone up as well. The way that impacts people is it predominantly affects decision making. There's greater risk of getting it wrong because the impacts of getting it wrong are so much greater, and there's less available spend. So during COVID, people spent their war chests. They don't have the reserves that they once did. So everything takes longer, and people are far more risk averse to invest. They have less available spend. And let's just say that they've got the same dollar value, $500 of, an available budget of maybe $1,000 is very different to maybe 3 years ago when $500 was a percentage of a budget of $5,000. The number might not have changed in terms of the cost, even if that stayed the same, but it's the available budget that people have got to spend. So when you've got 2 and a bit generations, and I'm coming back to sales now, of salespeople and sales leaders who have never operated or sold or led teams in these kinds of conditions, they need more than just what we've always done. So there's absolutely that we need to make sure of, that we understand. Now, AI will play a role here. It clearly has to. It's going to tick both of those boxes. It's going to tick the box of, the labour supply shortage and the talent supply shortage, by doing some of the mundane process-driven roles that it can easily do. It also ticks the box of making sure that costs are reduced, because the AI functionality is exceptional for really reasonable rates. However, this is where our talent will be redirected to those higher level, higher ordered human skills that human beings can really only do, which are those connected communication skills. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So we've got talent shortage, we've got tough economic conditions, and then we've got a trust deficit. And that is individuals looking at previously well-regarded organisations and institutions and questioning motives, questioning what's said versus what's done and what their track records actually are. People are looking at organisations that are greenwashing, that are virtue signalling, who are doing things that might kind of tick the ESG box, but actually, when the rubber hits the road, are they doing things that are making a genuine impact at a local level and to the people that matter within its ecosystem? Or are they talking about big picture things? Nothing wrong with that, but it's a little harder to measure, and so people are a little bit more skeptical about that. So this really kind of brings it back to getting back to a basic premise of what it means to be enriched through giving, through being of service to another human being. Because most of us know that when we feel like we matter to another person, let alone a group of people, let alone a collective, let alone an organisation, everything changes. Everything. So people stay. Employees stay. So when you get greater retention rates, people, productivity, profit goes up. When customers stay, what do they say? It costs 7 times as much to get a new customer as it does to keep a customer. Both of those factors, employees, customers, even I would say suppliers, all of those lags when people don't feel like they want to be here anymore affects profit. This is not just warm, fluffy stuff. This is hard business. But it comes back to basic human principles here about connectivity, of being of service, of making sure that other people know that they matter. So people stay, and it has obvious benefits. When they stay, they're also motivated because they're connected to something bigger than themselves. They're connected to purpose. They recognise the values of the organisation because they can see them, they can feel them, and they want to be a part of it. They recognise themselves in those organisations. When that happens, employees, customers, other stakeholders within that business ecosystem want to collaborate and want to work harder, which leads to greater levels of innovation and productivity. And again, profit, and sales, but profit especially, because people are working for more than, or trading for more than just, is it the lowest cost? Or is this enough money? Am I working for a paycheck? So organisations who understand that everyone, internal and externally, has and is a customer that is there for mutual enrichment will be more than just a sales organisation. They'll be magnets for their people who love the way that they feel and the experience of being involved. It truly is the answer. So when I say sales revolution, it might sound extreme, but I think it needs to be in a way, because this is not about tinkering around the edges of fixing a broken sales process or revisiting the customer experience or another word for customer centricity. It's far deeper and far wider reaching than that, deliberately, by design. Sales to me is the proving ground for this, because when it's done really well, it requires salespeople to actually have an understanding of psychology, what makes people tick. Not just how to influence, but also how to make sure that I'm delivering the way that somebody else loves or will be delighted by me delivering or providing service or a product in a certain way. It also is a proving ground for the right behaviours and disciplines. Discipline has become a dirty word. I see it being, revisited and embraced by some fantastic thought leaders today. I see James Clear with Atomic Habits. I see Stephen Covey with the revised version of 7 Habits. Stephen Bartlett, the 33 principles or laws that he's uncovered from various business leaders that he's interviewed on his The Diary of a CEO podcast. Absolutely outstanding. But discipline comes into play here. So this is about what we do consistently and being better than we feel. That to me is the definition of discipline. And that is underpinning the sales revolution as well. When we have that, we have results, because when we're effective and when we're consistent and we're doing all of the things that we need to be doing well, then it starts to permeate across everyone that we touch, way beyond selling. But salespeople are the embodiment to me and can really be the starting point or the proving ground for the sales revolution and what I'm talking about, which goes way beyond selling. They're special people indeed. They're special people. So the ability to deliver mutual enrichment over and over again, it's been lost, and it's been reduced to its simplest form, unfortunately, and that is transactions. Which means that, look, people know what they want. They can go onto a website and buy. Yeah, they can. But it's because we've forgotten what it's like, both as customers and also as salespeople, that when selling's done really well and those models of excellence are there, I mean, it's a magnificent thing. Unfortunately, those models of excellence are also few and far between. So the Sales Revolution podcast is on a mission to reframe sales to where it can again be fantastic. It can be about opportunity. It's a statement. When say that you're loud and proud and you're a salesperson, it's a statement of competence across all of those things that I talked about before: psychology, behavior, skill, discipline, a way of being. And that, to me, can really lead the way to the way that we show up, not just at work, but in every aspect of our lives, because underpinning the sales revolution is a statement that I make to all of my clients that how we are anywhere is how we are everywhere. And I really think that we're on the cusp of a revolution underpinned by service, underpinned by mutual mattering. Let's make a difference together.